Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Mahalo, Evan. Today's guest is David Cole, President and CEO of Maui Land and Pineapple Company, Inc. Prior to joining Maui Land and Pineapple, David became top executive in the publishing and IT industries, working in major cities such as LA, San Francisco, Paris, Washington, D.C., and New York for companies such as Ashton Tate, Navisoft, Ziff Communications, and Sunnyside Farms. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, David Cole. Welcome to our show, David.
Aloha, Carrie. Evan, how are you guys?
We're doing great.
Yeah,
Thank you
happy
for
to
being
be
here
here
today. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Maui Pineapple Company?
Well, Maui Land and Pineapple Company has really been around for a very, very long time. It dates all the way back to about 1909. And it's well known for its pineapple and equally known for its resort, the Kapalua Resort, which is on West Maui.
How did you get involved with this company? Because you came from high tech, right?
Yes, I knew Steve Case very well by working with him. We sold a company to him at AOL, and I worked at AOL for about 3 years. And we continued to work together on a wide variety of different projects, real estate, some things in organic foods. And I became aware of Steve's interest in Hawaii. He managed to invest in two firms, one on Kauai, Grove Farm, and the other on Maui. And Maui Land and Pineapple Company had been a public company for quite a while, and he had stepped in as a white knight and purchased a block of stock that used to belong to Harry Weinberg, the famous raider.
Now, you're a local boy, right?
Yes, I am. I grew up in Kailua and went to Aikahi Elementary, Kailua Intermediate, Kailua High School. Eventually went to the University of Hawaii, Manoa.
See, people can't necessarily see your movements. Your body movements look local, but you don't sound local.
Well, I've been traveling around a lot of different places, but I can. I can.
Right, prior to this, I heard that when you said, where are you guys from?
Yeah. Right.
Who's this guy?
Yeah. So it's nice to be home. I mean, it's a great opportunity hooking up with Steve, hearing about his interest in Hawaii. And at the same time, my folks were getting older, I'm not getting much younger myself. And it was a good time, in all of our lives to find a way to kind of get back home. And it's really, really great to be back here.
If we can step back a little bit, could you tell us a little bit more about your IT involvement in those industries?
Well, I was first engaged in the publishing industry, where I did a lot of work in competitive manuscript acquisition situations. So that meant that if we had an author that we were very interested in and they were talking to other publishers, I was the guy that was kind of dispatched, to try and, bring back the deal.
But you're the negotiator.
Well, a little bit. I mean, I knew a lot about kind of communicating. I was a law school dropout, so I knew enough to be dangerous. And I had this real interest in the subject area. So my father, who had spent a good deal of his life in technology, had always answered simple questions with very complex answers. So I got an education inadvertently, and I knew something about computer science and engineering through that process. So when I engaged authors, I could talk seemingly intelligently about subjects of interest to them. And it resulted in a pretty good close rate in competitive situations.
That's kind of interesting because it seems that people from Hawaii actually have a very good sense of, I don't know if it's diplomacy or being people. They have good people skills for most of them.
Yeah, it's really important, I think, because it's such a complex cultural mosaic that we arise from. I can remember just being in the minority in my class, and there are very few places, in America where as a Caucasian you would be viewed as a, minority in your own, in your school. And it was, it really kind of heightens your sensitivities. Not that, I really felt necessarily, discriminated against, but you have classmates, from all walks of life. You have Samoans and Tongans and Japanese and Chinese and Hawaiians and of course all the combinations, and then eventually, love being what it is, your family actually transforms itself into Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino, and all those things, which is what happened to our family over in Kailua. So as you look at the Cole family today, it stretches out into all these different ethnic groups. So I think you're really much more attuned to different kind of social situations, when you're in this kind of complex mosaic, and so much so that it's a real risk trying to recruit people to leadership positions in Hawaii where they don't have some experience in multicultural situations. So it's one of the things that we factor into virtually all of our recruiting efforts.
So you try to recruit more locally, or are you looking at everywhere?
At a couple levels. I mean, we'll look everywhere. For example, we just brought someone into our company who, at an early age, went to Africa and spent some time in Africa on his own volition, and then also spent a year in Japan, studying Japanese, and he had no prior connection with the Japanese culture. So here's someone who's demonstrated through their conduct, an intrepid lifestyle. So you can see that they're wide open to an assortment of different cultural experiences. So that's a low-risk hire. Someone, on the other hand, who's just been working in one narrow industry and has been restricted to one economic class and has stuck to just one language and has never really spent any time in another culture, that's a high-risk hire. On the hospitality side of our business at Kapalua, it's vitally important to get people who have a cultural memory, that have a real sense of what this place is like and are able to interpret it in a passionate and authentic way to visitors. Because it's not just the place that makes the magic. If there's any real great magic, it comes through the dynamic that's possible through a knowledgeable and passionate host with an inquisitive and genuinely interested guest. So there, it's important to get people who have a connection to the islands.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.